probably not a priority. It's switching off the heavy polluting part of shipping to completely environmentally friendly fuel. It's protection of all the marine life in the water column. And then, of course, deep-sea mining. It's a complete farce, thinking you can mine the land bed with atmosphere above it with different rules to make sure you're ecologically responsible. You can put it back the way you found it. Could be different, but it won't be worse. Or the seabed with the water environment. The land bed and the seabed should be treated exactly the same. If you can't do the ecological, longitudinal studies like over several years like we have to do in mining, don't complain. Don't say, well, it's not economic. That's your fault, mate. You know, don't think you can just go and rape and pillage and leave the destruction to everyone else just because you whinged about not being environmentally responsible like we have to be on land.
Yeah, and Andrew, I know you've also funded this pretty incredible movie by David Attenborough, like showing, you know, how basically the oceans are being destroyed. But do you think it's getting worse? There was, I guess, a humanity, you know, level of consciousness. Is that getting worse because of the Trump administration and some of the things that they're pushing through?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a monumental short-sightedness. I mean, if you're acting for your people, if you're acting for every American, you want to turn the oceans from scarcity, where they are now. They're going over a cliff with ocean biomass, with fish populations. It's literally going over a cliff, Francine. So if you want to arrest that scarcity, which is coming at you like a freight train to every single American, every single European, every single person, if you want to arrest that scarcity and turn it to abundance, then you have to do the simple economic, commercial steps to protect it and to make sure those oceans become flourishing. And if you protect the big secret, which is revealed by David Attenborough in our film, is the big secret of the miracle of the oceans. If you preserve 30% of your oceans, you can literally fish the other 70% forever. I mean, it's like a bank account which never runs out, or an ore body. You keep 30% of your ore body, you can mine the other 70% forever.
Is there the will to do that? Because there's also trade tariffs, and I'm going to ask you about, you know, copper, iron ore. It just feels like there's a lot that people are anxious about. So where do you think the leaders' priorities on some of these things are?
All I can say, Francine, if you're a leader without a business brain, peril for your people. Okay, absolute peril, because business drives everything. Now, responsible business is regulated by responsible leaders. So if you don't protect 30% of your oceans ecologically, and you're willing to let the 100% just disappear because you didn't realise there's a proper commercial business reason to protect the 30%, then you're betraying your investors' faith in why they elected you.
How's the UK doing? I mean, I know you have big investments here.
Yeah, we have very large investments here. Look, I'm saying to the UK, I'm saying to the EU, I'm saying to North America, saying to Australia, the science is now resolute, it's inarguable. Protect 30% of your oceans, you'll have flourishing oceans for the rest of humanity. Don't do it, we're going to exhaust them and extinct them.
I know you also always have great thoughts on, you know, the world economy, rare earth and things like that. Where are we right now? You know, early June, do you worry that it's all going to go wrong, given the uncertainty, the fact that chief executives don't really want to spend, and actually the fact that trade is now because of allies, not, you know, economic sense? Okay,
so that's a very broad question, Francine. Look, I am completely convinced that you can fool some of the people all the time, or all the people some of the time, but you're not going to get away with all the people all the time. And so people know tariffs are not a tax cut. People know it's an imposition, it's inflationary, it will cause economic distress. Fine. If you want to do that for your people, that's fine. But that truth is going to come out in the next year or two, because you've already got escalating prices in North America. Yep. You've already got goods and services becoming scarcer. It's not working. So go back to free enterprise, go back to free trade, protect human rights, absolutely, and protect your environment. They're great investments. I mean, these are great investments. Any business person with half a clue are going to know this is a good investment.
I mean, when you look at the energy transition, but also AI, we need more copper, we probably need more lithium, and some of the materials that are used in this transition. What does it mean for Fortescue?
Look, I've been approached by two countries, which I shouldn't mention, who have enormous copper deposits and other deposits, enormous lithium. I don't think lithium's so sexy these days because we're watching other technology, just using salty water, looking really sexy. But let's just keep to it. Countries which have big deposits of this, and they've approached me to say, could you lead us into a responsible mining industry which is fully green, and at the end of mining we won't really be able to tell it's been mined? And I said, yes, I can. So I have no doubt that the world has abundant copper, abundant anything on land without having to go and destroy the oceans.
So are you diversifying into copper? I mean, look, iron ore has definitely fallen from the highs. I know you put a big bet on green hydrogen, and that's being a little bit delayed compared to your ambitions.
Well, look, I put a big bet on going green. And so green hydrogen, all that happened is that people decided, because that we had like hundreds of millions of bots just blasting through Europe and North America saying, hey, now's not the time to be considering anything uncertain. Look at your cost of living. Let's worry about this. Let's stick with what we know, oil and gas. That was just one big fraud on the people. If you want to lower your cost of living and increase your standard of living, you go green. And so, but people like us, people like me, are the people responsible. It's not you or everyone watching the show. You should be able to consume, travel, do what you want, but you've got to hold people like me to account. I want green steel, Forrest. Don't give me your dirty iron ore anymore. I want to be able to ship my goods knowing that I'm not harming the environment. The cargo pays for the ships, nothing else, not the fossil fuel. The cargo. People who want to travel, they should be demanding, listen, we want to know when we fly there's no harm.
But it's at a cost, right, to you. So how many people have a conscience?
Is it R&D is normal. I hear this number that it's going to cost $2 trillion to convert. Well, wow, okay. What do you think you're spending, planet, on fossil fuel a year? Oh, a couple of $1 trillion. So what we're talking about is like a year payback. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The reason why we're not is an expense. It's that the fossil fuel sector and weak politicians are just saying, let's just do nothing. Isn't that great? And no, it's not great. Actually, you're there to lead. If you say you can't do it, get off the stage and let in someone who can, because you'll be right, you can't.
Who do you think is the best leader in this?
Oh, look, I'm not going to
choose a favourite.
I'm not going to choose a favourite. Thank you, Francine, for the question.
Talk to me about LNG, because you're planning to import gas into Australia, but it's one of the top LNG exporters. So how will that work?
Okay, so that is a very large facility which sits in the middle of Australia's industrial area, basically saying there is no need for future 50-year life oil and gas projects which are going to cost 20, 30, 40, 50 billion, end up being a big cost to the taxpayer, huge environmental consequence. This is sitting there saying, you want to do that? I'm going to switch this on. I'm going to bring in cheap gas from overseas. Your project's going to be unviable. And so it sits there literally as a conductor saying, okay, as soon as Australia needs extra energy, we're going to switch it on. As soon as we possibly can after that, we're going to be using it for hydrogen. So it's a facility which is already paying dividends.